All right, good morning, good morning. Quick sound check, make sure you guys can hear me, and let me know you guys can see my screen. Go ahead and pop out the chat there. What's up, Michael? Santiago? Coming in clear, awesome, thanks, Jen. How'd everybody do yesterday? So I didn't get anything off yesterday until I put on an AXP position there into the close, which at the moment looks like I'm going to be down about $100 on that position here at the open. So overall, not the greatest of trades here in AXP for earnings there. But like I said, I didn't like much yesterday. And I talked about it. I didn't like a lot of the earnings trades, which we had Netflix and Tesla. So that's why I went small with that. And I'm just logging in here. I want to get Rob's yellow list here real quick as he builds that out. Awesome. What's up, Fred? All right, guys. So coming into today, the only thing I have on right now, I've got an AXP position on, and I'll show you guys what that looks like here. Let me go ahead and detach and pull this window over. So, like I said, I've got an AXP position on. I went ahead and sold yesterday the 99 puts, the 98 puts as a put debit spread, put credit spread, and then I bought the 100 101 call as a call debit spread there, and looking for price to kind of go somewhere north of 100, which there's a nice spike there towards the end of the day there in AXP that got us pushed up over 100. But you can see right now bid 97.35, about 97.75 here first thing this morning. So this market is gapping down here about $2 here. We'll call 99.50s down to say 97.50, somewhere in the middle there. So we're gapping down about $2. Total risk on this trade was about $100 here. I was able to collect about a 50-cent premium here on these and shell out about a 50-cent credit or debit on those. So all in all, I think it was $101, $103 risk, something like that on this position. And we'll monitor this and see how it goes during the day. And it may give us an opportunity here at some point in AXP today. We're kind of gapping down right into, if you notice this little pivot down in here, 97.41s. We did get a little bit lower in the overnight session here, but gapping down, kind of holding that level, and maybe we can get a nice reaction off that point and be able to get a rally back into break even or a rally back up north over $99. So we'll see. I'm gonna be watching that one really closely at the open. And then the only other stock I wanted to review here first thing this morning, and if you guys have stocks you want me to take a look at, feel free to go ahead and type them into the chat and I'll look at those. But someone brought up Tesla yesterday, and I mentioned if it can't get through this 349.68 level, then most likely we're going to kind of head back down here towards 328.56. And if I turn the extended session on here, you can see that's pretty much exactly what has happened here overnight. So I kept this one on the watch, and we're gapping down here in Tesla about $25 give or take here, 322.40, 347.31. So yeah, about $25 there in Tesla on a gap down situation, with the Nasdaq actually cranking. Nasdaq is up 38 points here so far this morning, up 0.57%. So just wanted to show that in terms of always wait for your confirmations if you do get into a position early, and things like this can potentially happen there with Tesla. So anyways, that's what I got there for Tesla. Jumping into the broader markets that I'm going to be looking to trade today, starting off with the Nasdaq here. Oops. And again, I got my watch list here and kind of taking a look at this. You can see we got about a 50-point range. We just put in these new highs of 67, 62.50s just a few minutes ago, and you can see we got lows in place of 67.12s. So we got about a 50-point range happening in the overnight session in the Nasdaq, which is good. Volume again coming in at 75,000. S&P is right up there at 221,000. So we're pretty much right in a line with where we were yesterday in terms of volume and overnight range. And then again, the markets that we talked about yesterday as well, being gold here. Gold has not been able to get through that $1,300 number like I thought, and we've gotten a nice little sell-off here, kind of back down into those 1281s we were talking about, and then potentially a little bit further to go yet in the gold markets here. So that's my overall, just as soon as I wake up and look at the markets, this is what I want to see, and kind of look and see what's shaking, what's moving, what's giving me a lot of clicky numbers here, and showing me where the movement's going. So I did share that link yesterday, Kaylin. Let me share it again right now, actually. Boop. All right, Nadex watch list. There you guys go. And all right, cool. All right, so what I'm looking at here so far this morning in the Nasdaq is we had these resistance levels in place here, 66.9875s and 67.0950s, and the idea was that if we can get above these levels, get confirmation closes, then we can look for long entries into this market to continue higher. And that was based on the fact that we could hold 66.43 yesterday, which we did. We held it by a point there, a little bit of a front run, and ended up missing this move. We came up based, tagged once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and then finally pushed through, got confirmation closes above. We pulled back here, 67.10, a 2-tick front run there, that 67.0950 level again, and then was able to finally just start pushing through. And that's on an hourly chart. If you look at the 5-minute chart here, actually let me switch this over to a 5-minute chart. You can see we were able to get the push through. We pulled back right into this zone and then started to rally back out of that zone again. And we haven't tested back into that zone. Even in the overnight session, we got to 67.12s. So we didn't even get back into this zone. So coming into today, I do have a bullish bias here. We've got a lot of markets moving. And now I need to draw some higher level targets here and kind of see where this market can actually go to and how it is that I'm going to be finding an entry to get long in this market. So we got some bigger targets here in the Nasdaq coming in up at 68.30s. So that's about 70 points or so from where we're currently trading at. And I don't think that's going to happen necessarily today, but it is definitely something that can happen in the next few days. Obviously, that's going to depend upon next week. Now, there's no hourly levels coming in between there and where we're currently trading at. So I'm going to switch down into a 30-minute chart, pull some pivot levels there, and give those a different color. So I want to be aware of, if I change time frames that I'm drawing my levels from, that I mark those in a different color and know kind of what the situation is there. So that level is going to come in at 67.50s. So backing back out here and taking a look at what we've got right now, and these levels are no longer valid. We'll get rid of those, and we'll redraw a new level in here for 67.2275s. Alright, so the game plan for me for the day is, right now I've got 67.50s in place. We should tag those here probably right at the open. And I'm going to look for initially a move higher off of the open. If we fail that initial move higher, then I'll look for us to break back beneath 67.50s. And we have room to pull back all the way to 67.2275s. Now, I don't see that necessarily being the case. I don't think we're going to get that much of a pullback. It's about 40 points or so from where we're currently trading. I don't see that being the case. So what I'm going to be doing today is playing the open and 67.50s. I think they're going to be really, really close together. And I'm going to be using those as kind of bullish above, bearish below on the day, with a focus to the long side. So we'll get this gap up. If it wants to run higher and give us some pullbacks and entries, then I'm fine with that. If we get this gap up, it kind of goes a little bit lower. Again, I don't think it's going to get 67.2275s, but then can provide an entry. Once it trades back through 67.50s, then that's when I want to take a long position. So above that level, I'm going to be looking at longs. Beneath that level, I'm most likely going to end up being flat on the day, unless it's something like AXP or potentially Netflix, something like that, that I think can move independent of the market that has some type of other catalyst. At the moment, I don't necessarily have that list outside of AXP and Netflix. Those are the two big earnings from yesterday coming into today. And obviously we got a big move down in Tesla, a big move down in gold. So there may be some other opportunities in these other markets that I'll look at and evaluate once the actual 9:30 open happens. So with that being said, I'm going to take a look here. Let's see, someone just brought up the symbol Roku. Let's take a look at this. Let's see what Roku is doing. Roku currently gapping up about 60 cents or so. I'm going to say that's probably gapping with the market. I mean, the market's gapping up, basically 50 points now. We're about to trade those 67.50s here. So this, for me, is moving kind of with the market, and it's gapping kind of right into or just under a resistance level in there at 42.80s and change. So Roku, I'll keep it on the list, but probably it is just moving with the markets just in general. It is a 4-ticker symbol, so it is in the Nasdaq, and you can see that right here as well. All right, so moving on to the S&Ps. S&Ps are up about 55 points here from these 97.75s level that we traded in the overnight session yesterday. And at this point, we've got a nice move happening to the upside here in the S&Ps. We're currently up 26.52's area up in here. So we got profit targets on this that can get hit at 26.69.75. So that's not too far of a stretch from here. So about 18 points or so, 16, 17 points or so from where we're currently trading at. So that is a good long target there on the day. That is essentially the same level in the Nasdaq as 68.30s, but just in a percentage move and a contract value move, it is just a little bit less. So about 18 points, 17 points here in the S&Ps, compared to about 70 points or so in the Nasdaq. 70 points in the Nasdaq is $1,400, and let's call it 18 points here in the Nasdaq, and the S&Ps is only $900 per contract, right? So when I look at things like that, I like to kind of see which one has the highest probability of reaching those kind of targets, and then what that difference in contract value actually ends up being, as to know which market is potentially going to be the better horse to ride for that target. So that's what I'm seeing there in the S&Ps. I do want to get long here. I don't have any levels in between here. Same thing with the Nasdaq. So I'm going to drill down into a 30-minute chart, see what I can find in here. And where's my little thingy? There we go. And what I'm seeing in here is kind of a mixed bag. So we've got a little bit of a pivot there at 26.44s here. We've traded that in the pre-market session again as well. And I'm going to change that color since it's coming from a 30-minute chart here. So overall, same sentiment here. Going to keep 26.44 quarters on the watch there. We turn the extended session on here. Go to a 5-minute chart. You can see how this level reacted not only just yesterday here, right there into that spike, but then again overnight, once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times. Finally broke through it. Haven't pulled back to it and retested just yet. So that level is going to be important if we can get pullbacks to it today. I definitely want to be a buyer off of that point. If not, most likely not going to have any types of trades in the S&Ps because I'm not necessarily a momentum buyer and I don't have any levels between 44 quarters and 69 75s. So that's what I'm looking at there for the S&Ps. Moving on to gold here, and I'm going to cut the stream off just about 2 minutes early there so I can get ready for the actual bell ring at 9:30 there. So I got about 6 minutes to go here. So if you guys have any symbols you want me to take a look at, feel free to go ahead and punch those in. I'll pull those up and give you a quick analysis on that. It is options expiration day, so I am going to be looking for some pinning plays. I'm not doing that here first thing this morning. I'm going to be looking at those once we kind of roll into the actual trading day and see where we're at. So, interesting thing here in gold with the down move. We got some lower levels here that can trade at 1274.70s. Gold traded as low as 1280.60s here in the pre-market session, kind of right down into these prior support levels here that have given us nice bounces 1, 2, 3 times now. I am anticipating for that to potentially break and for us to get these kind of lower targets here at 1274.70s. I don't have a position on in gold currently, but it is not. It's something I'm not opposed to getting a position in on, and it may end up being something we can play with Nadex. Take a look at the strikes in there for a end of day expiration in the gold markets, being that it is Friday, monthly options expirations for the overall markets. And as long as we can get a good strike in there, I think we've got some decent opportunity to take a look at in the gold markets. Let me take a look at the chat real quick. Looks like Ben is long Roku, so maybe I should be long Roku. Yeah, so Netflix earnings. Netflix here gapping down just a little bit, or it was earlier when I looked. Now we're about flat on Netflix, so that actually could be something interesting to play today with monthly options expiration for Netflix. So here's an interesting thing. You see a pattern like this, and you'll notice it time and time again when you study earnings is. If you look at the hourly chart down here, we've got the gap up. This was, a catalyst of them raising prices and expected earnings to increase and yada yada yada. And we've gone sideways since then. We got the earnings announcement. We sold off, right? We kind of sold off right down here into like 335s or so. Well, that fills that gap, and then now we're right back up here. And if you take the pre-market session off, you won't even know that this is traded down here, right? So if you come into today and the market opens and we're currently, call it 351 there in Netflix, then it really doesn't look like anything has changed. Nothing overall has proven to be anything there. So this may be a good opportunity today for some Netflix put spreads as well to keep it above 350 into the close. And then when this does finally break out, most likely next week, this could have a nice, kind of 20-point move to the upside in a single day, and that would not be, out of the ordinary here for Netflix. So it could be something we could take a look at some calls on, maybe some call debit spreads, and kind of take advantage of the increased IV here, selling some put spreads for next week with the earnings announcement that just came out yesterday. So I'm going to definitely keep this one on a watch today. And try and see if we can structure some trades around this as well. So keep an eye when you get earnings announcements like that, and they kind of base sideways like this, and then they'll finally end up, they gap up, they'll digest the move, even though this wasn't an earnings gap per se, they'll digest the move and then make a run to the upside. So that unfortunately is not the case here for AXP. American Express, it's gapping down about $2 here, but it does have the same similar type of pattern here, and it may end up just proving to do the same thing as what PNC did the other day, where PNC gapped down here on the earnings. Well, it gapped down a little bit, sold off hard into the earnings announcements, kind of right down here into these 118s, and then now we're $4 higher off of those lows in PNC just basically a day later. And it's got a nice kind of failure to go lower pattern here on the daily chart, rallies back up, ends the downtrend, right? Tries to hold the downtrend here, fails, rallies up, pulls back. The earnings announcements rechecks the pullback there, and then now we're potentially moving higher here in PNC, and this can get a move kind of up into the 135 handle. Potentially, it is just kind of a slow mover there in PNC as a financial. So that's what I'm seeing there for kind of Netflix and American Express, which are two positions I want to focus on today, and they both kind of coincide. More so Netflix with the Nasdaq than AXP, obviously, but definitely not going to discount either one of those if they provide some type of opportunity. So anyways, that's what I've got for you guys here first thing this morning in terms of my trade plan. Again, I'm going to be focused alongside bias here. We've got nice moves happening across the board, and the one thing that stands out today that didn't stand out yesterday is that the Dow is actually participating. The Dow is up 0.9% today when everything else is not. And Nasdaq is starting to move here now. We've pushed through that 67.50s, trading 84 quarters. So it's going to be a fun, exciting day for a Friday. I don't like to go red on a Friday, so I am going to be conservative, but there are some opportunities I do want to take advantage of today, and looking forward to doing so in the MLT Power Hour with you guys. So if you're in the Discord, I'll see you guys back in just a couple minutes for the Power Hour. If you're not, then hopefully you guys have a great trading day, and again, end Friday in the plus column, and keep your profits on the week. Don't overextend yourself. It's the worst feeling in the world to go into Saturday and Sunday when the markets are closed having a losing week or giving back all your profits on a Friday. But anyways, with that being said, trade safe, and I'll see you guys. Oh, and we got Monday off, so there is that. But with that being said, trade safe, guys. I'll see you in the Power Hour.